Go.
How close do I need that thing?
You can be away from it.
Yeah, if you like sit back like that, it's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, you sit back squat, I'll end up turning you up or something.
Yeah, we can
mess it there.
You can mess with the levels and stuff.
I think it's all ready to go. Then when you're ready, you guys are running.
Yeah, they're all running. Sounds running. All cameras are running. You guys ready?
Mm-hmm.
3, 2, 1. Action!
You talking to me? I'm talking to you. This is talking to you. And I got Bob Rust, the man himself, in the building. How you doing, man?
Good. How you doing?
Pretty good. I'm glad to get you here, man. It's I've had a few episodes, and I had you in thought to be in the first few, but I think we're like, what were we at, Caden? Like 9, 8? I don't know. I lose track.
9 or 8.
I lose track pretty fast. But no, I'm glad I got you here, man. I got a lot to talk to you about. You are one of those people that do so much. Just to kind of start, to describe a little bit, like you're basically a full-time musician. You play shows as much as you possibly can, and on the side of like playing shows with your band Traveling Jam, you also run sound for basically anybody that will get you out. And I just kind of wanted to get your, how did you get into just being like full time, just like getting into like sound and music and just like doing that whole scape of like work, you know what I mean?
Well, most things I do are out of necessity.
Yeah.
I've been playing with Jeff Couch for 20 years now in one capacity or another. But I started off playing the drums. And when I moved out of my parents' house in an apartment, I couldn't take my drum set with me. So Jeff let me borrow a guitar. And I actually bought it from him and have it. I own the first one I ever played. But
oh, really? You still have that?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
But I couldn't play the drums anymore. So I learned the entire Bradley Nolan Friends CD in its entirety.
Oh, wow.
Every song all the way through, and learned to sing them all. And that's how I got started playing stringed instruments. But I've been in punk rock bands. I had a 10-song album with my first punk rock band where I played the drums on it. And I played in reggae bands, which is funny. It's my favorite kind of music, even though I'm in a string band and play bluegrass and type stuff. But it's very difficult. We had a hard time going places and having people run our sound for us, especially we're kind of a niche thing. We got an upright bass, a banjo, and random people that play with us. And nowadays it's easier because it's kind of a bigger situation. A lot more people are in on it. But when we started 7 years ago, we didn't really know anybody. So I was like, man, I can't trust the sound guy because I play a dobro. It sits flat. And we'd be checking. They'd be like, all right, let's check the flat guitar. I'm like, if you don't know what it's called, you're probably going to have no idea how to run it. They didn't teach you this in school because you're a rock band kind of guy, and that's that. Most people that go to school for that stuff and don't spend a lot of time in it just to learn the basics.
Yeah.
So we played a lot of shithole bars to accumulate enough money to buy our own gear, and then I had to learn how to operate it.
Nice. Okay.
And, but I got resources. I talked to people like Gabe from Stanley's and all kinds of other people, like what should I get, this and that. And my buddy Wolfie from Rumpke Mountain Boys actually hooked me up with this guy, Ed Digman, who was selling these EV speakers. And I was like, they're 2 for $400. I took 800 because I knew he had 4 of them. And I tried to get him to come off all 4, but he would only do 2. Then he called me 2 weeks later, sold me the other 2. So that was the start of our sound rig. And they're not easy to figure out, so I had to learn all that. And then I bought a mixer and this and that. So then I started running sound for other people because people call me up like, hey, we play similar stuff like you. Can you come out and do this?
Yeah,
and I do it.
It's hard to get the sound.
I can run a banjo and things like that.
Yeah.
And so I would do it. But the thing with running the sound is I get to pick who I run the sound for. I just don't be like, hey, I'm just going to do this for this band. I have to sit through the band.
Yeah.
And
you got to enjoy it, right? You got to enjoy your work.
Not saying that like everybody's not capable of playing music, but some stuff I just don't want to sit through all night. You know? And so I get to pick who I want to work with. Like this weekend, I'm working with Indigo Hall and Andrew Jensen from the Harmless Varmints, and I get to sit in with them too because they play my kind of stuff. But it's all by necessity, and most things I ever do is like that.
That's really cool. And so you mentioned you played like reggae and you played bluegrass and you was in a punk rock band. So like you just kind of dabbled in just almost anything. You're just like really open and minded and willing to just kind of jump into things, especially out of, like you said, necessity to maybe improve what you're trying to do. I mean, learning that like different kind of set of skills, attributes to, overall knowledge of that skill. And that's really cool, man, that that you've hit all those different ventures. I got a couple pictures I want to show of something that you did. Like, you run sound, but you also know how to make you made pedals for Seeing the Funnies, Jimmy Klepper.
Oh yeah.
You made the soft pack pedal. I got a couple photos of here. That's real cool how you was able to figure that stuff out,
I wrote
man.
my name in there with the heart for the O for Jimmy. If he ever opens it up, he'll see it.
Oh yeah, that's great too, man. Little secrets like that you get to do.
Well, the thing
making
with
the
that
stuff.
is I had a Behringer acoustic amp, and it had for my dobro like a long time ago, Stone Age type sound system we were using first, amps, all this stuff. It didn't work with our instruments, but
Yeah.
we made it work. And I had this Behringer amp, and it had a 2-way switch for effects and things like that, but it didn't have LEDs on it, so you couldn't tell if it was on or not.
Oh.
And the reverb and things on my dobro was so subtle. 'Cause if you're going to put reverb on something, you should be able to hear it, but miss it when it's gone, but not know that it's there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it should be subtle enough, and I couldn't hear on the stage through my little amp, and I didn't have LEDs on the thing, so I took it apart and I learned how to put LEDs in it. Next thing you know, I'm making Mutron 3 for Wolfie from the Runky Mountain. I was like, hey, you want this? I gave it to him because those things are expensive. I just try to help people. Like, if I can make a pedal and get it on someone's stage, like that one for Jimmy or for Wolfie, like there's recordings
Yeah.
of him playing that. I've contributed to his sound one way or another. And so yeah, that's out of necessity again, trying to put LEDs on my stupid 2-way switch, and all of a sudden I'm learning how to do small circuitry and anything less than 24 volts.
Just learning how to really, really hone your skills of what you're not like, of what all the knowledge is you can within a subject, man. That's good to do, man.
I've been told that once I start to try to learn something, I just learn it all.
Yeah.
Which
See, I learn about half. I always learn half. That's my problem. And then
I try to learn as much as I can about it before the interest fades.
Yeah. Okay. That's where
sometimes
it happens,
doesn't fade, sometimes it does.
Yeah.
And but even if I'm not, like, I haven't made any pedals in a long time, I make them when people ask, because I tried to make some and sell some and commission some, and I don't like doing business with a lot of people. People, I'm doing them a service by building something like that and selling it to them for $200. You buy it for $500, $600 on the internet. They still want to lowball me and things. I'm like, you know what? This took me 15 hours to do.
Yeah, a lot of time.
I should charge you for 15 hours, but I'm not. But
it's it is. It's a learned skill, and it's niche. Like, not like, I know many musicians, and not, but maybe 5 of them know how to really get in their gear and fix it if it breaks. Most people take it to a shop. Most people will call their buddy like you to fix it. I don't even know how to set like my guitars up, but I play them all the time, and that's a general problem most people have, is they'll pick up a part of something, but they won't learn the whole scope of it. It's really neat though, man. You do that, and you bring that into like most of your life, because you also for your work and for practical and fun reasons, you dabble in mixed martial arts. You're 2nd degree purple belt jiu-jitsu.
My second shot, my purple belt, maybe in a couple months.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a lot of time involved in that to get even to that point.
Yeah, I wasn't sure exactly. I just I remember you said something about working on it, but I just kind of want to talk to you about, like, how did you get into that? Because you've been playing music, you said, for what?
Since I was 15.
Yeah, so
41 now.
Yes, like 25 years.
Different instruments, whatnot. Yeah.
Yeah.
If I would have picked one and took it the whole time, I'd be famous for it maybe now.
Yeah.
I can't. OCD and all that.
That's funny.
But as far as martial arts goes, I just decided one day I was going to do it. Like, I was smallest kid in school. People picked on me in 9th grade, things like that. And I didn't start doing it because I wanted to go find those people. They're around town. I see them.
Yeah.
I could take them out now if I wanted to. But nah,
Watch out.
They're
Bob
all
can get
different.
you.
They're not the same as they were. I've had a drink with a couple of them. They don't even remember. It was like whatever. But I wanted to learn Jeet Kune Do, like Bruce Lee's approach to martial arts.
Okay, yeah.
And found a school in Fairfield in an old skyline called the Reed Academy. And in 2005, I think it was like May 2005, I just went there and signed up. I was like, I want to do this. And I didn't really know what I was getting myself into. Didn't know what jiu-jitsu was, like none of that. And but I liked what I saw in Bruce Lee's books and things like that. And I didn't understand the scope of the entirety of the situation and what I was in for learning. But I started going there, and I remember the first class was with this guy named Big Shane Kremmelmeyer. He's a big dude, and he's very skilled. And we're learning this Wing Chun technique called a Pak Sao. And I thought he was saying box out. I was like, what am I doing here? This isn't basketball. I was thoroughly confused. Like, what the hell is going on?
Which means, like, put your ass up, and put your arms out to box them out.
This is slapping a person's hand and punching them in the face. And I'm like, this is a little different. I don't know what's going on here. But I was like, I guess if I keep coming, I'll understand what he's saying. Because it's the dialect of Wing Chun, the words are not English.
Yeah.
And so eventually that was explained to me. And everything, it was a rotating curriculum, so things I saw the first day came back around. Eventually I latched onto it. But I started doing that in 2005. And I still train with the same guys. Not the same school, but they run their own school now.
Oh, okay.
In the same facility that we run our school in.
Nice.
So I get to train with them again.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah, because the Reed Academy, Charles, Seafood Reed, the guy in charge, for personal reasons, decided not to continue running the school. So it was kind of defunct. Some of their students came and trained with us because my coach, Sean, the guy that owns the school that I train at, started a month after me at the Reed Academy. So we know these guys. We've known them forever. And some of their students started coming training with us. And then eventually we asked the Meyer brothers, Sean and John, like, hey, do you guys want, we have plenty of space. You can have some nights. Or I don't know how they worked it out, but gave them time slots. And now I get to train with the guys that trained me my first day. Big Shane's still there. Big Shane's still crawling on top of me, crushing me. But so I have 3 or 4 full instructors under Dan Inosanto, Bruce Lee's best friend, at my school. 3 or 4 black belts under John Jack Machado. Same guys. John Jack teaches at Dan Inosanto's school out in California. So I get a whole library of information. But the longer I do it, the more I can never walk away from it. And now I train fighters. We have 1 pro, 1 amateur is very successful. I've coached jiu-jitsu tournaments against George Gurgel, a UFC fighter. Like, he's got a school down the street. Our fighters fight his fighters. So it's a small community. It's really cool. But,
it is really cool.
There's no turning back for me. But a lot of people will, like, say, hey, I'm going to come train with you, this and that. And I learned a long time ago not to invite anybody. Or if they say they're going to come, I don't call them anymore. Like, hey, you didn't come to that class you said you were going to come to. Like, if it's for them, they'll come to it and it'll appeal to them and they'll stay with it.
Yeah.
I have nothing to do with their appeal to the situation.
Yeah, you're building your own, you have your own love for what you're doing.
Right. And then that's the way that Jeet Kune Do works, is it's a personal journey. I don't talk about it to anybody. You'll never hear me anywhere saying like, oh, I'll beat that guy up, or this technique or that technique, or let me show you what I learned. Like, I don't do that because it's no one's business but my own. Yeah. It causes problems sometimes. And people want to test you and things like that.
Of course.
And it's like putting a Glock sticker on your window of your car. Well, now I know you got a gun.
Yeah.
So I'm going to approach you like you have a gun.
Yeah. No, that's a good
So
analogy.
I don't talk about fighting with people because I do it for self-defense and other like personal reasons, like confidence reasons, things like that. But if I boasted about it, then someone decides to altercate a bunch of people, and my friends are probably going to try and go for me first and sucker punch me or things like that. So part of the philosophy and the approach is kind of a sleeper kind of thing. Like,
what is it? Something surprise. I can't remember the phrase.
Yeah.
Element of surprise. Kind of.
So like an aggressor, someone's going to attack you, a bully. they get to throw the first punch because they're the jerk, right?
Yeah.
My first punch, metaphorically, would be the fact that they don't know that I can throw the second punch and the third and fourth.
Yeah.
And take them to the ground and choke them, like that kind of thing. So, it's a really, really deep situation. I can't even remember how I got to where I'm at with it.
Well, but yeah, it's because it is about losing yourself in it. You know, like if you're going to get into it and be about it. And you said since 2005, so 15 years that you've been practicing and
with
training.
Sean Sutton, my coach. Mm-hmm. He started a month after me. I've been training with him since then.
Wow.
Like I had a kid in 2008, took some time off. Sean went to the military, got stationed in Hawaii, out of all places, for the last 5 years or whatever. I don't know how long he was there. Mm-hmm. It was a while, but he ended up in Hawaii, out of all places, and started training under Burton Richardson, who is also a full instructor under Guru Dan and Santo, and also like they're best friends. Like he traveled Europe with Guru Dan and this and that, man. And so Sean got an instructorship under him. Called me up in 2014 after he's getting kicked out of the military for his time being up, and he said, "You want to start a school?" I was like, "Yeah." And he gets back, and I was like, "He's like, let's meet up at your grandma's house, and we can have our first class as our school, JKD Unlimited Cincinnati, because Burton's is JKD Unlimited, Jeet Kune Do Unlimited, unlimited, okay. whatever works, whatever goes, and kind of by any means necessary things." So Sean shows up at my grandma's house, and we're going to do some sparring, and he kicks my ass. I thought I knew what I was doing. Like I got a green glove and savate. I've been taking martial arts for, at this point, almost 9 years. He gets back and he whoops my ass, and doesn't beat me up, but I can't get in on himself. I'm like, "What have you been doing out in Hawaii?" He's like, "Let me show you." And his approach that they had out there appealed to me 100%, and I've been doing it ever since. I passed probably 5 or 6 schools on the way to my school in Westchester just to train.
Oh, wow.
And because it's the only place I'll go.
Yeah.
It's the only culture that I want to do. It's the only philosophy that I like to follow. And we spar every class. A lot of people don't do that. Like in jiu-jitsu, you have to spar.
Yeah.
I've never seen a jiu-jitsu class where you don't roll around with people.
Yeah.
Some classes will just have you like, well, for example, if people come to me and they want to, "Hey, I want to get a starter course before I go to your school," I'll let them roll around at my house with me for 3 or 4 weeks. So I don't got to drive all the way out there to see if they like it. And most times I don't roll with them the first, second day. I don't know this person. Don't want to hawk out on me at my house.
Yeah.
And like people get their ego crushed.
Yeah.
And people are capable of anything once their ego gets crushed. Mm-hmm. Like the guy that says, don't mess with me. I'll get crazy. I'll turn red and I'll see red and start going crazy. Like,
I've seen plenty of those guys at the bars.
Yeah, and you wrestle around with those guys and they turn on you. And so that'd be the only reason I don't think people would initially spar in jiu-jitsu, but people don't spar in a lot of other things like karate and stuff. They do point break sparring and things like that, but they're not like Sean walking up to me with his fists up and he can take me to the ground if he wants, and he's going to punch me in the face and kick me in the head and things like that. We wear plenty of protective gear. Yeah. And we don't go hard. Like, it's a common misconception that when you spar, you have to go hard. Even Thai fighters don't even go hard.
No, yeah.
Because I don't want to get concussed before my fight and things like that. There's time for it, but we don't ever go super hard. But the difference between what we do
more just
and
to
what
adjust the body for that kind of pain and like tolerance to react the right way.
I could teach you a technique all day. Yeah. I could show you a back sweep and a hip throw or whatever, and you could do it on me. You could do it efficiently on me. But when I stop cooperating with you, then it stops being so efficient. Yeah,
that's something I was listening to the other day, is talking about how fighters when they are in exchanges, basically they are experienced in the ground so much that they're countering the counters. You know what I mean? So they know the next step that this guy's most likely going to take, or the step that he's going to take to go the other way, and how to counter both of those. You know, just there's so many steps. It's like chess. Is a good analogy somebody said. It's a lot like chess. Like every step that you take.
People, they compare jiu-jitsu to chess a lot, but it's a easy comparison for people to understand. There's a lot more to it because in chess you have a strategy. In jiu-jitsu you're making a series of executive decisions on the fly. Yeah. And if you make the wrong one or fail to catch the one that the other person's making, they'll choke you or snap a joint. And when you tap out, that means you died. Basically, you're taking each other to the brink of either life-changing injury or death and letting them go when they tap you. And I get tapped out all the time. Not all the time, but you'll never get through jiu-jitsu without getting tapped out 1,000 times. Yeah. And but when you're on the ground rolling around with someone, you are, lots of times I'll close my eyes, you're feeling around what they're doing. The more advanced people, they have a term called setting them off, where if we have a gi on and I grab your collar and I grab it really hard and I'm trying to set up maybe a sweep or something and I grab your collar really hard, I'm setting you off because maybe you think I'm going to do something with this now. So you grab it and pull it off, but I need that grip. So I'll set my hand on the shoulder, start working to get the rest of my position, then grab the final step and move it. Yeah. And so you're feeling those things without really thinking.
Second nature.
Yeah.
It's like training it multiple times over and over sets in that natural reaction.
And having it happen to you, like you get Cole, one of our fighters, Sean's, our coach's brother, would get me in this arm bar on my left arm. He got to 3 or 4 times in a row when we rolled. And finally, I learned from it, and he doesn't arm bar me anymore. He gets me in a Kimura instead because he did the opposite of what he would do. He had my arm like this. Instead, he twisted like this. So I stopped letting him do that. Eventually, I was able to avoid the position on him because he exploited me so many times. Yeah. For him, that position is no longer valid. But he'll move on to something else, and I will too. So you get put through the ringer on these things so much that eventually you've seen most of it, like you said. And I think in judo, there's 60-something techniques. One is not allowed. I think it's some kind of scissor sweep takedown. Mm-hmm. But someone like Ronda Rousey, who's an Olympic judo champion, will master 3 or 4. You've seen her do it in UFC. Her takedowns, her hip toss, her back sweeps and things like that into an armbar. You'll master 3 or 4, but you're totally aware of the rest. Like taking it back to jiu-jitsu, if I know the avenues you have to attack me, then I'm more likely going to be able to force you into one, which allows me to know, well, he's going to come from this side or that. Or I can defend them better because I know they exist. Yeah. Right?
Got to counter to their counter.
If I didn't know what a rear naked choke was and you got on my back, I might not protect my neck. I might be trying to get your foot off because you got your hooks in and now you're going to choke me. Yeah. So you have to be aware of the possibilities. And the best part about our sparring is that I get to go with people smaller. Yoko's she's a 115-pound fighter, straw weight, I believe it is. Okay, yeah. And I fight with her for camp and stuff, and she takes me down on the wall. I get to train against someone her size. Yeah. And then one of our other instructors, Greg, who I've been training with for 7 years now. He's also a purple belt, but he's 250 pounds, down from 375. He's about 6'4". So the things that I do to Yoko don't really work on Greg. Yeah. I'm not a shooter. I don't shoot in. I don't do double legs and things. Definitely not on Yoko because she's almost a foot shorter than me. Greg, I might consider that kind of thing because I'm not going to get up top of him and get him in a clinch because I won't be able to take him down. He just stands up and I go up in the air. Yeah. So I got to shoot on a guy like that. So land swimmers is what some people call them, the people that just do the, they never touch anybody and they don't experience what it's like to get thrown on the ground or break fall and these things. And they don't get the experience of if I taught you that back sweep and then I stopped allowing you to do it to me. Yeah. Now do it to someone that weighs 100 pounds more than me. Totally different. Same technique, different leverage, different approach, different setup. So sparring these things and just going through the motions, hours and hours and hours, trying them on people, eventually you get it. And eventually it becomes second nature, like you said. And it just begins to make sense and you start pulling it off in sparring. And then all of a sudden you're doing things when you get in a position that you didn't think about. You're like, oh, he's got his arms. What do I do? You're just doing it. Yeah. And that's the goal. Because in reality, if there's some kind of situation where I find myself about to get in a fight, I'm not going to sit there and consider what I'm going to do. Now I might consider like, do I need to pull my blade out? Does this person have a blade? Things like that.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to be like, well, I'm going to switch leads on this guy and do this technique. No, you're not
combo,
thinking.
yeah.
You're just going through the motions of that.
No, yeah, it's instinct, and that's what you're talking about, like that, like doing, and that's a common theme we've had on the podcast is like just doing it in repetition, constantly just doing it, and like it will just become second nature, like you're saying. It's instinct at that point. You're not thinking, like you said, when you get into a fight, or even if it's, you know, a professional look at it. If you're in a cage and you're fighting, you're not really thinking about it. And even if you have a game plan, most of the time people have a lined up game plan, maybe a plan B, and after that, it's instinct, you know?
Yeah, and well, even fighting in a cage is as close as you can get without legal ramification, getting a fist fight in the street. And also, like, there's so many more dangers and variables outside of a sanctioned fight.
Yeah.
But we do have game plans for, like, Yoko. A lot of times their game plan is control the middle, punch them, hook them until they turn their back to the cage, swing them into the cage, punch them to the cage, and then start working the wall and take them down to the ground and get on top, try to get the knee on belly or something, and just start punching. And she was able to do that in her last couple fights. And it's just amazing to watch it work. We're doing these things and it seems like it gets old, but once you get sick of it, you're starting to get it.
That's when you get it, yeah.
But she wanted it so bad that she was able to perform these things, and I mean, she got punched in the face and things, but it didn't deter her. And when we put a fighter in a cage, we don't necessarily say, well, we got to watch their tape and figure out what their game plan is. Like, we see what their strengths are, but their game plan is slightly irrelevant because we want our game plan to work. We're not going to work around theirs. We're not going to start adapting to what they're doing. We're going to impose our will, and if we can't, we're going to get back to a position to where we can start again.
Yeah.
And so she doesn't think about the things that she's doing a lot of times. We'll be yelling from the side of the cage.
Yeah.
Like, do this, do that. And she doesn't hear us because she's just, people don't get it. When you get in there, I've been in the cage, like before the fights, we get in there, get her acclimated, walk around. It's hot in there.
Yeah.
People are screaming.
Like,
there's an old grandma in the crowd going, punch him in the face, Ricky. Like, it's out of hand. It's pandemonium. And you're in there trying to fight this person with no one else but a ref to save you.
Yeah.
And we put her in there, and she does it, and she wants to do it, and we want to teach her to do it, and it's just, it's wild. It's one of the wildest things I've ever been part of.
Man. But you gotta love that, like.
It's nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
Sean, my coach, does not get nervous. And man,
that's crazy.
He does not, well, he doesn't get nervous about anything. He doesn't seem to worry about anything. He told me he doesn't argue with people. If you say 5 + 1 is 19, he's like, good for you. Good. I'm not going to argue with you about it. If that's what you think, good for you, because he doesn't deal with things like that.
Yeah.
But we walk out to the cage. He's looking at me. He's like, we're going to do this. He starts getting nervous. And I'm like, bro, never seen you nervous. The only time I ever seen you nervous is when we fight. We got fights, and the closer it gets to walkout time, I don't see him pace, but he starts doing this, and I'm like, oh, Sean's nervous. Maybe I should be nervous, but I'm not. It's just he's getting amped up. If you're not nervous about it, you're not ready. You haven't prepared correctly.
Yeah.
If you're not somewhat frightened to go out and get in a cage and fight someone, then you're not ready to do it, because you have to have that instinct kick in, because the other person's instinct is absolutely kicked in. Yeah, and they're the animal. If you're not the animal too, then they're gonna eat you alive. They're gonna destroy you.
It's just really neat, man. It's a pure form of, like, I mean, this is what the gladiators did in the Olympics and Greek, thousands of years ago. And
that's why people's egos get crushed, because can't blame it on your tennis racket. Yeah, you can't blame it on your teammate.
It's you.
It's everything you were born with.
Yeah.
Except you're wearing gloves.
Yeah.
And there's nothing to blame it on. And someone could tell me all day, like, yeah, I wrestled in high school, or I do jiu-jitsu and this and that. And I can tell you in about 30 seconds what they do, or if they can do what they say they can do. Yeah. And I mean, that's something we emphasize in our jiu-jitsu for the street is what we do. We pull knives on each other when we're rolling around. Firearms sometimes. Someone will throw a rope in. And you got to use it. And and we got to defend against it because someone gets you on the ground. I carry a blade on my waist. 100%. If someone's on top of me and I think I'm going to die, I'm going to pull my knife out.
Yeah.
I'd rather go to court than go to the funeral home. You know?
Absolutely.
But people don't think about those things because they're doing their jiu-jitsu and they got a black belt in jiu-jitsu, and not to put anybody down, they're perfectly skilled in it, but if they don't add the street aspect into it while they're training, at some point, they're not going to consider those things.
No, yeah. They think, oh, I could just fight this guy and he's going to fight me and I'm going to win.
Yeah, I will get crushed by a black belt.
Yeah.
More than likely than not, I will get tapped out probably pretty quickly by a lot of black belts. But you had a weapon involved. I feel like I would defend it better than a lot of them would because I do it all the time.
Yeah, you work with.
And it changes the game. Fortunately, everybody that trains at the facility I train at, the Myers and our class, we all think that way. Because we come from a common lineage in Dan Inosanto and Bruce Lee's approach. Mm-hmm. And it's all street oriented. Yeah. And so the jiu-jitsu I do is slightly modified. I mean, I'm going to do tournaments this year. I'm going down to Derby City and Lexington to train with Justin Court. He's a brown belt Pan Am champion last year. You know, I'm trying to get competition ready. So I'm going to go train with him, with my teammate Charles, and just some other people that are, like, the community's so small. I get to train with a lot of cool people. But
yeah, that's awesome.
I like to be competition ready. I like doing competitions because I get to go against people that I don't know and don't know what they're doing, don't know what they're capable of, and I get to test myself.
Yeah.
But
like you said, you've been training with your same guys for
when you do
years.
that, we all say this week we're all learning the scissor sweep. We're going over it again. Like, everybody's scissor sweep just ramps up, and it's hard to get it on people because we train with the same people all the time.
Yep.
And but
there's no breaks in that actual training.
Yeah, and everybody's getting good at the same speed most of the time, so you never can test really how much you know because everybody knows the same thing. Everybody's progressing at the same speed, kind of. So that's what tournaments are good for. But my main focus is not just the sport jiu-jitsu, it's the street aspect of it.
Yeah.
I was down at the Southgate House and some guy's talking to me. I was wearing a John Jack Machado shirt, and he's like, "Oh, you do jiu-jitsu?" I'm like, "Yeah." And I do. It's a flag sometimes. I'll get to talk. I meet interesting people once in a while. Yeah. They're like, "Oh, I do that." And you meet someone who does jiu-jitsu, you're like, "I know probably a lot about you already." And so he's like, I don't ever ask anybody what belt they are or anything because I think that's kind of weird. But this dude asked me at times a blue belt. I was like, "Yeah, I'm a blue belt." And he's like, "Oh, okay." And I'm like, I didn't ask him. But I'm like, all right, I see where this is going. And he starts telling me, volunteering information about people that he trains to fight and stuff. I'm like, okay. And he's like, asked me who my instructor was, and I told him that I'm an instructor under Burton, and we teach people jiu-jitsu, but we also do jiu-jitsu for the street. He's like, what's that? And I said, well, it's jiu-jitsu, but it's a street-oriented aspect. Anything goes. Safe to grapple versus not safe to grapple situations. The bar is not safe to grapple. You can get your head stomped in. Jiu-jitsu doesn't do everything. That's why you do MMA for the street.
Yeah.
All of it. And he's like, he said something, and I was like, well, for example, if you get in a triangle choke, and then what happens if they bite you? Bite your thigh out.
Oh, man, yeah, that's a good...
And he's like, well, I would put them out before that. And I was like...
Okay.
All right, well, I'm done talking to this guy. I didn't say that, but I'm like, you know what? You are... I don't know if he was just...
It's just arrogance.
I don't know. Maybe he was. Maybe he was just ignorant to the notion. Maybe he'd never had anybody try to bite him. Like, I don't bite people in class.
Yeah,
but if I get in a triangle choke and I pull my head out and it's slightly closer to their thigh, I'm thinking, like, you will let go of this.
Yeah.
If I open your thigh up with my teeth. Or... if it's some nasty dude you're fighting or some bum that's you don't know who they are, and I don't want to put him in a position to bite me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, I got this awesome technique. I go down, get him in triangle. He slips his head kind of to the side and gets his mouth towards my leg, and all of a sudden I'm bit. Like, those are the kind of things that go through my head when I'm rolling. And those are the kinds of things that go through my head when I'm in tournaments and things. So I try not to even let people get to certain situations. And
that's a cool way. really neat way of going into it.
It is, and it's really effective because I
Yeah.
don't have to change anything if an altercation took place.
Yeah.
I don't have to be like, okay, I'm not on the mat. I'm out in the real world. I train like I'm in the real world the entire time, except I don't stab my training partners and things.
Yeah.
Like I hit
yeah.
them with knives and stuff, but they're training knives and things. And
Like, oh, Steve's bleeding all over the mat.
well, and we respect
Good
it
job.
too. Like we do a lot of knife sparring, and we'll put on the cross gloves and we wear a foam helmet with a metal mask, and but we don't trade. We don't get closer. We don't go, da, 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 da.
Yeah.
It's a point break thing. If we're sparring and I hit my training partner in the hand, we reset because I probably just cut him.
Yeah.
I don't run in and clinch with the guy
Yeah.
because he's got a knife.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of videos on the internet of people disarming people with their neck. The knife gets you, they disarm it. Or there's the woman that's got two people holding her, and one of them has a gun, and she takes the one guy and hits the other guy with him, then does something here, and then takes the guy's gun. I'm like,
oh my God, that's ridiculous. You ever seen Steven Seagal?
Yeah.
His, it's similar to that.
well,
His is legit or no? I've seen videos.
he's an Aikido master. He is very good at what he does.
Yeah.
His movie stuff is, I mean, even Bruce Lee's movie stuff, his technique was sound. He had a movie style
Yeah.
and a JKD style.
Yeah.
Two different things. You see people in UFC on the ground grappling. I know what they're going through. I feel everything. It makes me uncomfortable when someone's on top side control when I'm thinking about beating the guy in the bottom. You had people in the crowd like, stand them up.
Yeah.
They don't know what's happening there.
Yeah.
So that's why you have a movie aspect. Because if you had a movie where people are just doing jiu-jitsu, but like neither of them wants to make a move because they're going to get beat up if they do and then make the wrong move, it'd be a boring movie.
That's
Jiu-jitsu is sometimes very boring to watch unless you do it. And so Steven Seagal has his movie style, but he's very proficient. But myself and other people have called him out on the internet to fight, and he's never responded to me. I've never seen videos of him like.
You heard that, Steven? You come get some.
Yeah, Steven Seagal. He hasn't got back to me, but I don't know. Maybe he beat me up. I don't know.
Well,
Yeah,
maybe we could set that up. We can get some cameras on that. That'd be fun to do for sure.
I don't know.
That'd be good. But no, dude, I want to thank you for coming on the podcast, man. This was episode 8, 9, I think, something like that.
It's 9.
I don't know. I have bad memory. But either way, this has been talking to me, talking to you.